Hello and welcome back to the HeroesHype Amateur Series. I am Gillyweed and joining me for this cast is Anna. Anna, we just watched that first game and it was pretty dominant for Envy Gaming there. And I really think that it came down to the drafts between the two heroes that I'd promote and then that last pick with Illidan. They didn't really have much to counter it. Oh, you're muted.
It was bound to happen once during this cast. Hopefully that's the only time. But yeah, I totally agree with you. I think especially, like you said, that last Illidan pick, really there was not much Luxury could do. Nothing, in fact, they could do to counter that Illidan pick. And Illidan is someone you really want to have time to prepare for in terms of drafting. And also, like we mentioned, you know, kind of Envy playing Luxury's game with those promotes. So I think they really had the stronger composition. So we'll see how Luxury will react this time.
Yes, we shall. We do have the draft starting, so I will hop back over to that. And looks like Luxury does have first pick, first ban this time, so maybe they will be able to better counter that between their bans and their picks here.
Taking their time actually with the bans and Team Luxury deciding to say, we don't want to play with your Illidan anymore. Stop it. But that does so far leave Lost Vikings open. So we'll see if Envy will go ahead and ban them as well. That's usually what we've been seeing lately, Gilly.
Yeah, for sure we're going to have Lost Vikings or a Sylvanas as well as a Kael'thas because Envy only have one ban here, and I'm wondering what they'll choose to do so. A lot of times we do have Lost Vikings, especially on maps like these. Remember, with Dragonshire too, you can take the Dragon Knight with just one of the Vikings and still have the other two sitting in lane soaking, which is just huge. The passive XP gain from them is insane, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that here, but they may not want to have to deal with a Kael'thas, they may not want to have to deal with a Sylvanas. I think it'll just come down to what they're feeling as far as what they don't want to deal with.
Yeah, and Envy now making the decision of, okay, if we ban Lost Vikings, Team Luxury might take them. If we don't ban them and Team Luxury doesn't take them, we could maybe take them. You know, and then they're also weighing, like you said, all these other heroes that could potentially be banned. Kael'thas would be another great one to play. So they're saying, okay, if they pick Lost Vikings and we pick Kael'thas, then what? You know, so they've got a lot of options here. This is a good position for them to be deciding who's going to be out of the mix. But Team Luxury has a lot of power in getting to have that first pick.
Yeah, and taking quite a bit of time. I'm going to send you an invite really fast here. And it looks like they do decide to ban Lost Vikings. So that is nothing but standard here. And now Luxury has their first pick. Now they will grab Kael'thas. So maybe they were a little bit thrown off their jam last game by not being able to play him. But they are going to grab our newest hero in the game. He does present a little bit of problem in that he is pretty squishy, and when I say pretty, very squishy, and he doesn't have much of an escape. He can throw out his gravity laps. If he can land that stun, then he can get away from whoever he stuns. But they will have to get a very solid front line to make sure that they're keeping people off of this Kael'thas as he throws out all of his damage.
I love to see those kind of team compositions when they're executed well. It can be really painful to watch someone like Kael'thas get repeatedly caught out and teams not being coordinated, but when you do have a composition that can really surround and protect a hero like Kael'thas, it can be really, really fun to watch. So I'm looking forward to seeing what else Team Luxury is going to do here. But Envy Gaming, again, actually prioritizing their support. They're going to pick up Uther first and then add Sylvanas to that. So they want to have the push queen on their side, and Uther also very useful for a number of reasons. First of all, as a support, he can do some great healing, but he also has a really awesome stun, and he's also a little bit tanky for a support. So they're going to have, so far, a little more sustain than Team Luxury. So they're kind of standing up and saying, all right, maybe you have this guy who can deal a lot of damage, but we're already coming out saying we want to have something meaty.
And I want to point out that this is the second time that Envy have prioritized getting their healer first. Last time they got Brightwing first, and this time they're getting Uther first. So I really think that they like to figure out the composition that they're going to get and then work backward from that by going ahead and grabbing their support, not giving so much away that they want to do, you know, by just grabbing their support early on, like they did with the Brightwing. They ended up having those dual promotes. We didn't know about it until fairly later on in the draft.
Yeah, that's an interesting point because they do forfeit the right to pick up, some of these traditionally more desirable heroes. Like now we see Jaina coming out to meet Kael'thas with Team Luxury. So Envy, I think, confident enough in their skills that they say it doesn't really matter whether we get first pick of the heroes as long as we're able to react to what you pick. So we'll see if that's the case. Now we see Jaina and Tyrael joining the ranks of Team Luxury.
Luxury really liking those squishier tanks, but Tyrael is so amazing. And I'm a little bit concerned about his ability to protect Kael'thas and Jaina together, but if they are able to do so, that would be huge. These two together, they are the two big spellcasters. I've been calling them a song of ice and fire because they throw out so much damage. It's just insane. But now it comes down to, like I said, being able to keep them alive. They're going to need a solid support. They might even consider another tank here, or maybe even some sort of like dual support thing just to try to keep them alive.
Yeah, because between Kael'thas and Jaina, they probably have enough damage to do something like a dual tank or a dual support build. Maybe even just the 1.5 support build to be a little more standard. But like you said, Tyrael not being as tanky, so they are going to have to be careful. Though we did see them last game being perfectly comfortable having a less tanky tank. So we'll see what happens. Envy Gaming now going to add Vala to the ranks, so they're fine. They've got their assassin that's going to do lots of damage. What do you think they're going to do next, as they have a healer, a support, and a damage dealer so far?
I think they'll grab their tank here, and they are going to grab Muradin, because we saw them do this last time, right? They grabbed their tank so that they still had one last pick to do something with, and make sure that they're able to counter whatever Luxury is going to throw at them. So now it's up to Luxury. They've got their last two picks left. We'll definitely see a support here. What the other pick will be is a little bit more of a mystery, but I'm wondering if maybe they'll say, okay, we want Malfurion. They've got the possibility of Brightwing, though, as well. I don't know. I don't know what I would pick here to try to keep those two alive.
Yeah, I mean, Brightwing with the mobility also really great on this map, being able to move back and forth between shrines, either to deny or to try to get the Dragon Knight. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that. So it is going to be Brightwing. And she can do a pretty good job of keeping a team alive. So what do you think Team Luxury is going to do here? Do you think we'll see a half support assassin? Do you think we'll see another tank or another healer? What do you think?
Well, I keep talking about double tanks because we've been seeing them come back into the meta a lot more. But we didn't see it last game like I thought we would, so I'm not really sure what they're going to do here. It's definitely hard to say.
If they did do another tank, grabbing like maybe an ETC who also has that mobility could be really cool. And especially, I mean, it could go either way. If he used Mosh Pit with the Jaina and Kael'thas, that could be really cool too. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that if they do go for the tank. Yeah. If instead they go for a support, I don't know, what do you think of someone like maybe even a Tyrande?
Tyrande would be good for the Hunter's Mark and making sure that people take more damage from that. And they'll have the vision as well. I would say maybe a Tassadar, but I wouldn't even hate an Anubarak here. I love seeing Anubarak Tyrael compositions together. I think that they're really awesome together. I even would vote for a Sanctification build from Tyrael. I know it's kind of crazy, but it would be really cool. And remember, Sanctification makes his teammates invulnerable. All of his teammates, except for himself, invulnerable for 3 seconds. Everyone has to focus on Tyrael at that point. And during that time, you've got Jaina and Kael'thas. They could throw a ton of damage down. But I think that with that, we'd maybe see another tank. I don't know, man. They're definitely wondering, I think, just as much as we are, what they're going to do with this last pick.
What I would want,
yes!
It is going to be the Anubarak.
Life makes sense.
I was going to say what I would want here is, like you were talking about that invulnerability, I would want some shields. So I wouldn't have been surprised to see something like a Tassadar appear there. But Anubarak, like you were mentioning, also really, really fun. That's going to be a team composition that's going to be fun to watch. Now, Envy has the opportunity to react to that. So they're looking at 2 tanks that are not super hefty, but together certainly formidable. They're looking at a very mobile healer who can also lane very well, and 2 of the top damage dealers. But they've got a solid team in and of themselves, very balanced. They have a very solid support. They've got a specialist who's really good at pushing, one of the game's top damage dealers as well, Muradin, who has proven a very strong tank right now. And they're going to go with Kerrigan!
That's what I was hoping they would get. And the reason I thought that maybe is because they had that Uther early on. And what is your favorite combo in the game, Anna?
Divine Shield Maelstrom.
Oh, it's so good. I think we will be seeing them try to do that gank squad thing that we often see, going between mid and bot, trying to get a pick on somebody from Luxury. But Luxury they're in a good position here, because remember that this map is not always about team fights, the 5-on-5 team fights. There's a lot of skirmishes that happen on this around the shrines, and often you have fewer than the full 5 there. And so they've got some options where they've got those 2 tanks there, and they're not going to be totally squishy.
Yeah, I'm really into the way that Envy has been drafting. They keep this pocket, last pick, really formidable damage dealer in both these games.
The melee one at that as well.
Yeah, and Team Luxury just probably wasn't prepared. Get it? Was not prepared for either Illidan or Kerrigan. And I like that. I like that Envy's strength is kind of that element of surprise. Now, I don't know necessarily that Luxury would have done anything radically different if they had known Kerrigan was coming, but I really like the way that that Envy is portraying this confidence, I guess.
Yeah, me too. Oh, I'm messing up my caps horribly in chat. I should probably just stop doing that. But I agree with you. I really like how they're doing their picks. Envy, that is, in being able to kind of like throw a wrench in the plans possibly of their opponents. And the one thing to note, though, is this time Luxury does have Brightwing, so she can help with the Kerrigan, provided she's not the one caught in the Primal Grasp, though. But she can polymorph, of course, too, and then she's got some options there. So I don't know if we'll see Luxury go for the promote, though. I would hope so. That'd be pretty cool.
What do you think we're going to see in terms of heroic abilities here? Do you think this would be the kind of situation where we might see Emerald Wind, or do you think pretty certainly that we will see Blink Heal as we have these 2 squishy tanks?
I mean, they've got the 3 melee people there with Uther, Muradin, and Kerrigan, so I could see the Emerald Wind for the disengage. Emerald Wind versus Kerrigan is very good, but I don't know. I think they'll still want the... I don't know, they would definitely lose some sustainability there, and then Brightwing also can use Blink Heal as an escape just as much as any sort of like healing is a way for her to be like, let me get away from things, or let me blink up to my teammates and polymorph something. So there's so much applicability with that, and I think it'll probably come down to whatever this Brightwing player just feels more comfortable with and confident using.
Yeah, this is going to be really fun. We have solo supports, which are both very capable, but, I guess I would say not the Malfurions or especially the Rhaegars, so there are weak spots in the healing here, but they are compensated for by other abilities that are really going to come into play both in team fights and in map objectives. So I'm really excited to see how these teams use these. Shall we introduce the teams, Gilly?
Let's do that. Playing for Team Luxury once again in blue is Mr. X on Kael'thas. Malagor playing Tyrael. Spurbeck once again on Anub'arak. Stoic on Brightwing, and Kabink playing Jaina.
Kabink. And we will have Crone playing Kerrigan. Dan Lee for 3 will take Sylvanas. Spagooter will play Vala. Monkey Lamps will play Uther. And Insane will be playing Muradin.
Spagooter.
Well, Bright, you see, Dan.
No, go
ahead. Well, I wanted to say Dan Lee for 3 was hiding out looking for a gank. I always love those early game traps, but didn't manage to get one and not patient enough to stand there. So Dan Lee for 3 is going to go down in the bottom together experience. Well, the mid lane has 3 members of Envy in it, Gilly.
Yeah, we're going to see them going back and forth as much as possible, making sure to still get that minion lane experience, but going to be definitely looking for some ganks. Brightwing did pick up Bribe, so we're going to be seeing her try to steal some more kills whenever possible. I think the first target is going to be Mr. X. Crone jumping in right away, but a great gravity lapse there from Kael'thas. At least momentarily delays his death, but it was not quite enough, as there are so many stuns possible from Envy Gaming. We've got Kerrigan, we've got Uther, we've got Muradin. That is frightening to deal with.
And I love that we see, like you said, these members floating around, keeping their opponents guessing where they are going to be in terms of lanes at any given point. Kerrigan hiding out, ready for a gank here in mid. Vala going top to try to get a hold of that shrine. Do you think, how do you think these teams are going to do in terms of grabbing the Dragon Knight, Gilly? Do we see any clear advantages to either team here?
I think one advantage is that Brightwing is able to phase shift back in, so that's going to be really nice. She can always phase shift in to help turn the tide of a battle over a temp or a shrine. But looks like once again we've got the gang squad trying to pick up somebody here on bottom. Doesn't quite do so, but will at least get this shrine. An important thing to remember that not all people think about is it's not just about getting the Dragon Knight. It's also about keeping your opponents from getting the Dragon Knight as well.
Absolutely, and we see a lot of those denies, and I would not be surprised to see Envy being content like this to look for ganks, get kills, and then look for objectives, being not concerned with taking those shrines unless they're worried about the Dragon Knight being taken. So Jaina will fall. That is going to be 2 kills now on the board for Envy, and 0 so far for Team Luxury.
Yeah, I mean, all they have to do is wait until they keep getting ganks until they reach level 10 first, and then they've got a situation where their opponents are not really going to feel comfortable fighting in against them. But Mr. X and Spagooter going after the shrines. Mr. X will get taken out as the gank squad rolls in. But on the bottom, it's definitely Team Luxury's shrine here, and so still safe for now. We're back and forth.
Yeah, it looks like Kabink and Spurbeck kind of looking to get some kills of their own, realizing that what's happening is as they are all spread out, their team is getting picked apart one by one. So it looked like they were maybe looking to grab Sylvanas, but Sylvanas, of course, has mobility of her own, staying very well under these towers. So there will be 3 in the bottom lane, but not managing to do as much carnage damage as we've seen so far from Envy. That gank squad is hiding around here in the middle, looking for Kabink. Kabink also looking to come out. So we are seeing some grouping up happening from Team Luxury, probably in response to the fact that there are so many members of Envy together. They will find Brightwing out and kill her very, very quickly, Gilly.
Poor little fairy dragon. Well, that's getting them close to level 7 talents. And by the way, speaking of talents, let's talk about a couple of these. We've got 2 Envenoms on the side of Envy Gaming. That's going to really help with that early game damage dealing and making sure that they can pick off whoever they are trying to get the pick on as well. And there goes Jaina right away in bottom as evidence of that. Vala also going for that Hungering Arrow build. So going to give a little bit more of a of sustain there. She gets some damage, some health back as dealing damage, and is a little more of an on-target person. Normally we see Muradin's going for those Thunderclap abilities, but this time prioritizing the Stormbolt talents, or the Stormbolt ability. So making sure that they can get stuns, and even picking up that Sledgehammer at level 4. So going to be dealing more damage to structures and mercs at that.
Yeah, Insane actually caught out for all intents and purposes down here on the bottom shrine just now with Spurbeck and Kabink, but being able to not only tank tons of damage, go down to half health, and then just Dwarf Toss out of the way. So he is a very frustrating tank in terms of not really being worried about being caught out.
Yeah, and looking at the side of Team Luxury, their talents, they've also got level 7 now. Brightwing once again picked up that cleanse, so not going to have quite as much heals. She even got the Envenom, but oh my gosh, Mr. X getting pulled back into the gate by Crone. That's one of the scary things, trying to lane against Kerrigan. She can even get you once you're back behind the gate, and that is definitely the case. Gathering power on Kael'thas, so if he could stay alive, he could start generating stacks as they're able to get kills, but staying alive seems to be the issue here. Also, extended spikes for Nubarak. A lot of times we see the Beetle talent there at level 1, but choosing to make sure that they've got a better range on Impale, being able to really catch somebody and from there maybe be able to take them out.
Yeah, you mentioned that Kerrigan can reach behind walls. We just saw Spurbeck doing the same thing, so maybe that's why Kerrigan actually going to be able to get Spurbeck before he gets behind the wall.
Sylvanas, Stanley for 3 going in there, Banshee's all the way in, and really good job. Team members instantly go and take out this wall to be able to let him back out. So really smart play, hoping their teammate get out, and they even got the kill for it.
Yeah, so far no Dragon Knight in this game, and that's not surprising. Teams do tend to not prioritize that first Dragon Knight, and as we mentioned, especially Envy Gaming having the momentum right now and not really being concerned about getting the Dragon Knight probably until they reach level 10, which is right now, Gilly.
Yeah, they've
already done it, yes.
Yeah, they've picked up Maelstrom. They also have Strafe, Wailing Arrow, Divine Shield, and Avatar. So that's going to be very scary for Team Luxury, as they have a lot of stun potential where then they're sitting inside of the Maelstrom, which is not a place you want to be. So far, though, they're still having trouble picking up those shrines. Like I mentioned before, Brightwing's been able to come in and help them a lot in making sure that they get a shrine just in the nick of time. So they're choosing to push here in mid instead, knowing that they've got Sylvanas for one. She can make the fort, not attack them, but also their opponents still don't have their level 10 abilities. So if they can get a fight here, this would be huge. And there it is. There's the Maelstrom. Instantly, they melt Jaina, and now they're going to go right back and finish off this fort.
That was really cool, but potentially could have done more damage if we had seen Team Luxury be grouped up, so good job them only losing Jaina at that moment. But they will also lose this fort, and that's not a great position to be in at this point. They have not managed to grab the Dragon Knight despite so much trying, and we will see both shrines now be owned momentarily by Envy. Kerrigan is standing on the Dragon Shrine ready to take it. Will she be able to do it? I think she will, so she's going to take the Dragon Knight, and it looks like she will be rampaging down toward the bottom of the map.
Yeah, they really want to go for another fort here. They also know that if they can get the experience off of that, then they would be very, very close to those level 13 talents, which would be a great place for them to get in a fight. But Luxury knows that this would be a good time for them to possibly set up an engagement, because they are on the same talent tier, but not for long. So we are seeing them be pretty aggressive here, but they're starting to back up. Their opponents are almost to level 13, and they do not want to get caught out into a situation where they are down if they don't have to.
Yeah, how do you think that Luxury has been doing with keeping their squishies surrounded, like we mentioned earlier in the draft?
Well, we haven't really seen them be able to have their level 10 abilities. They do have Web Blast now, as well as Emerald Wind and Judgment. So it is possible that they are going to be able to do a lot better with that, because they can Burrow Charge in from the Anubarak, they can also Judgment in from Tyrael as well, so they can set up an engagement really quickly and hopefully catch someone out. But there is Kael'thas getting caught out by Stormbolt from Muradin, and they will be able to take him out. And oh no, Jaina as well. And this is the issue, is they're just so squishy. They don't have a lot of an escape. Jaina can get sprint at 13, but that's got to feel like a long ways away right now.
Yeah, I think that's just what we were talking about, is that if you've got Jaina and Kael'thas being the last ones to leave the battlefield, that's never a great thing when you have especially someone like Kerrigan who can pull them back into the destruction. That was really showing the dangers of having those two heroes and not being super mindful of where they are as compared to your tanks.
And look at these level 13 talents for Envy Gaming. They have 3 spell shields. 3 of them on Uther, Vala, and Sylvanas. So really keeping themselves safe, which is a great pick. Kael'thas and Jaina on their opponent's team. So 3 spell shields is amazing. And then a sprint on Kerrigan at that. And now Malagor getting stunned, trying to get away. A good Phoenix from Mr. X will help zone his opponents and help save his tank.
That is a very large area that Phoenix can take care of, so that can be really powerful when the lane is under siege or when you're in tight places. So well used, and definitely one of the reasons why Kael'thas is someone that is picked quite frequently.
Yeah, and the cooldown on it is only 40 seconds, so you have it up very often, which is something that's also really nice. So Luxury still trying to lane, still trying to get those level 13 talents, especially if they could do so before the next Dragon Shrine phase. Otherwise, they're going to have some issues in trying to delay their opponents picking up the Dragon Knight. But here is the full force of Envy Gaming at the top fort and already taking it down so quickly. They've got Sylvanas, they can do that.
Yeah, and the Queen of Blades riding her tiger, I was going to say steed, but it's a tiger, out in front, scaring her enemies away, and it looks like they will not be engaged upon by Team Luxury as the shrines do spawn. Now, the top shrine will go so far to Envy. Nobody's really looking for that bottom shrine yet, but I think Envy is just as happy to take an engagement here.
There was the Emerald win. They're getting the heck out of dodge and will do so. Getting back a little bit, but they're maybe trying to bait down into this bridge a little bit where they would have a better chance of engaging with the turrets. But oh no, here comes Crone going to be able to pull in little Brightwing, who will go down, and maybe there's oh nice. She had an Envenom on her, but they were able to, she was able to hit the well. But now Anubarak's getting very, very low, and maybe they should have just stayed and licked their wounds. They had taken out the Kerrigan, but they went back in and now have lost Brightwing, Anubarak, and Tyrael. Both Jaina and Kael'thas very, very low.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Kerrigan diving in during that Phoenix especially was maybe a little bit of overconfidence, but the thing is that Envy can afford overconfidence right now. They can say, yeah, it's fine, you can die, we're still going to win this fight and we'll still get something good out of it. And they are at level 16 now to the level 13 of their opponent's team Luxury.
Yeah, Brightwing and Jaina have both picked up Sprint, so they at least will be able to maybe get out of the bad positioning if they might end up find themselves in that. But look at those level 16 talents, 3 blood for bloods. Oh
all
my
the blood.
goodness, that's gotta be scary.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I mean, as we can see, Luxury melting again, that is definitely going to be scary, Gilly.
They've already lost Brightwing and Jaina, and they're gonna have to head back into their base, which means that once again Crone is going to pick up this Dragonite. They're gonna be heading in toward the keep. They've got some towers and a gate to go through, so at least there's a little bit of time for Jaina and Brightwing to get back up and get back in here, but they're still down several levels here, and they've got to be careful and watch out for that Kerrigan pull.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point in the game, if you're not familiar with this map, the Dragon Knight is a lot more powerful than it was last time, or especially as it would have been in the early game. So the fact that Envy was able to grab this Dragon Knight shows, like we were saying, they were focused on getting those kills and those levels in the early game, so that here it would be easy for them to take the Dragon Knight, which will increase in power and scariness as we continue through this game.
Yeah, they just got so many kills in the early game that they were able to get a sizable advantage, and then they pressed that advantage. That's what you always see in Heroes, is when you have an advantage like that, you really want to press it. You don't want to overcommit, like we saw that Kerrigan do, but they were still able to, everyone else was able to get out, and they even, because of the overcommit from Luxury at that point, this fight on this bridge, they were able to take out 3 kills. So a 3 for 1, not a bad trade at all.
And you see them being very conservative with the Dragon Knight too, making sure that Crone can get out before the Dragon Knight suit explodes, so they're not being careless with their Kerrigan this time, because they got so much out of their Dragon Knight that they didn't need to overextend. They're in a comfortable position where they're not desperate enough to put themselves in any bad situations, which will, in turn, keep them gaining more experience and not allowing their opponents to grab any.
Brightwing very scarily went and bribed these giants to attack for them. It was very close. Kerrigan was right there, but she was able to get away. And they've also picked up their bruisers, so they still are at least grabbing their own merc camps. But Envy are going to grab these bottom bruisers, and with that, they will have the stronger push here on bottom. And I do believe, oh no, they've still got at least the gate here on bottom, so there still is the chance that they might be able to salvage this keep, as Envy are definitely going to push with this strong merc presence.
Yeah, we're seeing Phoenix being a huge player here in terms of Luxury's chances of turning a team fight in their favor. What else do you think we're going to need to see from them in this team fight if it's going to be successful?
There's a really good zoning from Phoenix. They just need to be able to zone. They've got the Web Blast, they've got the Emerald Wind, they've even got Judgment. If they can Judgment somebody and then burn them down, but that's going to require very quick focus firing on their parts. They have to make sure they're Judgmenting the correct person. There's Kerrigan pretty far forward, so it is possible there. They almost have 16 though. They want to wait until they have that 16. They're so close, but in the meantime, because of this, they're losing their keep. Oh, just going to be able to barely push it away.
Yeah, Envy looking like they're not positive whether they want to keep committing, but they are very healthy, so they're going to go ahead. Kerrigan again. Oh, Divine Shield Maelstrom.
Yep, there it was. Someone is in the Web Blast, but already Jaina has gone down. Spurbeck is also very, very low and will get taken out there with a good Ravage. Now Mr. X, no, poor Mr. X, terribly on the wrong side of that fight. And it's only Brightwing and Tyrael left for a good 35 seconds.
We are seeing the Bruisers doing some damage on behalf of Team Luxury up here in the top lane for NV Gaming, but so far that's really the only lane that they have any real damage happening in. Bot lane, they're missing a wall, but still have the fort, so they will ignore that for the time being. It looks like they're going to try to grab a Dragon Knight and continue being aggressive, keeping their opponents in their base and scared.
I do think that they could have just won the game there, but they felt not quite so sure, so they backed up a little bit, healed back up, Sylvanas was low. Now they have the Dragon Knight, and while their opponents did finally get their level 16 talents, they've got their level 21. So once again, they've got the way favorable team fight there. They've got 3 Bolts of the Storm, the Redemption from Uther, and then even the Avatar.
Gilly, do you see the dragon dancing?
What a jerk.
Oh,
Dancing dragon.
Crone taking a second in the middle of the map to dance. Luckily, Team Luxury probably didn't see that, but definitely showing off that they feel some confidence. Crone actually going up and killing some minions in the top lane before engaging here. Potentially wanting to have the whole team around, but definitely showing that they don't feel rushed in any way.
Yeah, and that's something they don't have to worry about. They only have to go for core, so they can hold it, keep it completely healed until everybody is back in the fight. But here we go, we do the engagement. It looks like for now they're content to just attack the core, trying to just stay away from the other team wherever possible. Monkey Lamps is very, very low, and there goes a Judgment, and on Spagooter is also very low. They've taken out the Valla. Danley for 3 getting super low, and Spurbeck will be able to get the kill on him. They've still got a few people left, but a Dragon Knight as well, though, and it won't be enough. GG's. And our first team moving on is NV Gaming.
Very well played, I have to say. I mean, I love seeing the Kerrigan. We talked about the drafting, really, really intelligent there. And I think that what we saw was Team Luxury just not being sure what they could do with the heroes that they had to combat the strength of NV. I mean, by that, when there was that engagement on the bottom fort, I felt like Luxury was just kind of running around in circles being like, what do we do? What do we do? We just don't have, like, we can't engage, but we can't not engage. And that's absolutely the position you want your opponents to be in this game.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Some really great decision making from NV Gaming there. And I have to say it again, the picks for sure, just so good. So they will be moving on to the round of 8. Let's see what other teams have moved on. We've got the Brunch Excuse did go. I think Flick of the Wrist had to concede, so Brunch Excuse did move on, as did the Plays, who beat Pandemonium 2-0. Kappa Wolves had a bye, they're going to be moving on, and that's who NV Gaming are going to have to play. So NV Gaming have their work cut out for them going against the Kappa Wolves, who, if you haven't heard of them, have several of the members of the ASU team who placed second in Heroes of the Dorm. We also have Team Solid, who moved on, and they're going to be playing Pool Play-Doh Some Tangos. I believe that is the game that we will be having next on stream. Wild Growth is also in the next phase, and they will play the winner of Goon Squad and Gaming Team Gaming.
Wild Growth, a fun one to watch. Certainly a well-known name alongside Kappa Wolves, but Envy with some very convincing play, so I do not think that we need to fear for them. It will be really fun to watch. Gilly, which one did you say we're going to do next again?
We're going to be taking a look at Team Solid versus Pool Play-Doh Some Tangos. So
Awesome.
That should be a good time here. So we are going to take a short break while we get that set up for you guys. When we come back, the round of 8 in the HeroesHype Amateur Series Beta Finals. See you soon.